Hi, I'm Malcolm Macdonald, and I'm a professor at the University of Strathclyde. And I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the recent successes that we've had in the Scottish space sector and the importance that academic space research has played in that. Scotland's got a long heritage of internationally leading academic space research, but it's only recently that we've developed an equivalent reputation for having a commercial space sector here in Scotland. And I thought it'd be useful to just use my own career as a way of illustrating some of the choices and some of the changes that have happened. When I finished my PhD, I had the choice to stay in academia and to stay here in Scotland and work in the academic space community. Or I could move into the commercial space sector and work in the space industry. But to do that, I had to leave Scotland. And like so many others before me, that's what I did. I went and I worked on the Aeolus spacecraft and I worked on the LISA Pathfinder mission as well. And these missions gave me the experience of working on these big ESA missions, but I wasn't at home. I wasn't working in Scotland. I wasn't working in Glasgow. And I got the chance in 2008 to move back home to Glasgow. And this time got the chance to move to the University of Strathclyde and to work there. And for those of you who don't know the university, it's an international technical university located right in the city centre of Glasgow, and it's founded in 1796 during the Scottish Enlightenment and founded as a place of useful learning. And I mention that because that ethos is really what drives the university today, but also has been really critical in some of the engagements that we've had and the roles that we've helped to play in growing the Scottish commercial space sector. And so today, the university's mission is to make a positive difference to the lives of our students, to society, and to the world. And we're home to Scotland's largest engineering faculty and the only university in the UK to have won the Times Higher Education UK University of the Year twice. And this idea of making a positive difference or a place of useful learning is really about making sure our research doesn't just get stuck in the academic literature, that it has use beyond that and it makes a positive impact to society and to the world and helping to grow our economy as well. So when I arrived at Strathclyde and we started working with Clyde Space and other local companies, and through those collaborations and through a knowledge transfer partnership with Clyde Space, they went on to build Scotland's first spacecraft, UCube-1. And this was launched in July 2014. And around about the same time, I helped to co-found the Scottish Centre of Excellence in Satellite Applications with this idea of bringing space down to Earth. And this was a collaboration with the Satellite Applications Catapult, the UK Space Agency, and with Scotland's economic development agencies. And the idea here was to engage with people who could be making benefit of space data and space services, but currently weren't, and helping them to engage with the space sector and the space community and focusing on the end-to-end supply chain and the end-to-end space sector and trying to use Scotland as a bit of a living laboratory to answer global challenges, to do that locally here in Scotland and then be able to export those capabilities around the world. So with SOCSA, the funding was around about £100,000 per year for 6 years from 2014. And that was matched in kind by the University of Strathclyde. With that, we hosted over 100 events and we had participants from 4 different continents. And across those events, we made over 800 connections, and importantly, over 3/4 of them were with people from outside the space sector. And that's really critical because the space sector can be a bit of a bubble, and it's important that you get beyond that bubble to understand what are the needs of the users of the data and the services that space can offer. Of those 800 connections, they were from over 500 different organisations, and over half of those were from SMEs or even pre-companies. So again, it shows you the scale of the activity that we were undertaking. From all those engagements, we developed 66 bid consortiums, the vast majority of which were collaborations between academia and industry and helping to pull through that academic expertise into the commercial space sector. We had a 37% success rate, and from that we increased space R&D activity across our network in Scotland by over £6 million. And as part of that, we supported the creation of 16 different companies. And that creation of companies, I think, is something that we did particularly well and something that worked very well. And we did that by partnering with a local incubator, Tontine. And Tontine is run by Glasgow City Council, and we were just providing support to them as providing some of the space expertise into that incubator. And some of the statistics from the City Council from running this incubator are really quite striking. They found that, for example, a space startup on average doubles its increase in turnover and employees in comparison to a non-space company. So that just goes to show the high growth and the high value of the space sector to local economies. Looking at the Scottish space sector today, there are over 130 different organisations. That's up over 25% since 2016. Across those organisations, over 8,000 people employed in the space sector, and that's up 14% since 2016. So you're seeing quite significant growth here within the sector in Scotland. We've also got the highest workforce density in the UK. 0.29% of the Scottish workforce work in the space sector, and by comparison, the UK average is 0.13% of the workforce working in the space sector. The sector here in Scotland contributes approximately £900 million per year in gross value add, and that's up 12% on annual growth from 2012. And the latest projections looking forward to 2030 is that sector income should grow to around about £2 million per year by then. So you're seeing really significant and sustained growth across the sector. And remembering that we built our first spacecraft here in Scotland in 2014, today in Scotland we build more spacecraft per year than anywhere else in Europe. And so what are we doing at the University of Strathclyde? Well, a lot of the space research that we're doing is about this idea of inventing tomorrow and developing new space systems and using space to build a better tomorrow. We're looking at a lot of different uses for small satellites, and particularly looking at ideas around self-organizing constellations and agile and responsive space systems. And this is an illustration here of a recent project led by Clyde Space in partnership with the European Space Agency. This is a €20 million project to build 10 spacecraft to look at how we can advance the use of space, and particularly constellations of space, and how Clyde Space can develop on some of the academic research that we've done and pulling together work across the Scottish community to advance how they can offer space as a service to the community. And all the different types of services that space can offer is really where the key value of the space sector is. So this is an illustration of one particular project of how we're using data from space here on the ground. So this is a project where we're working with the local lifeboat service on the Solway Firth, and to help them to chart where the navigable channel is in the tidal flats. The navigable channel moves around all the time because of the shifting sands. And so when the lifeboat crew go out on a shout, they need to know where it is safe to go and how to get to whoever needs their help as quickly as possible. And so we're using satellite data to rapidly remap these navigation channels. And beyond Strathclyde, there's a whole range of companies right across Scotland working to use space data. For example, we've got Trade Space developing new financial service products with data collected by satellites to make peer-to-peer trading fairer and easier. Global Surface Intelligence are monitoring the Earth's forests and crops. And Huli.life are using space-derived intelligence to help you plan your next big outdoor adventure. And I mentioned these three companies in particular because all three of them have come through the Tontine incubator and have been helped to grow through collaborations with academia. And again, it's about that interaction, about the mutual benefit that we all get from working together. And looking ahead, Scotland should hopefully in the next few years become home to the UK's first spaceport and hopefully putting the first launch up into orbit by 2022.